Hello everyone. So last video I gave you a little bit of a walkthrough of the tractor and the baler I was going to use. And we were supposed to be waiting on the mower. I'm still waiting on the mower. But my dad told me that he thought there was a rake back by our ponds in the bushes somewhere. Well, there was. This is it. From what I can find on the badge here, it's a John Deere 851 rake. I don't know much about this. Actually, I know nothing about this other than what I've figured out already. What I've figured out is one, this here slides into there somehow and it starts turning everything, and the gearbox turns the rake, which in turn runs off of the tire power. And this here looks like it lowers the back end or the whole rake itself down. This one here looks like it messes with the pitch of the rake. So this bar here and that bar over there will drop down, and it will in turn tilt the rake. What I'm looking at trying to figure out is, one, has anybody ever changed these things out for hydraulics? If you have, you want to share your information with me, please? Other than that, though, the tire's blown out in the front here. The back two are still holding air, but as you can see, this one is jammed up against here. Well, when I lift up on the chain hoist with it, you can watch the tire change position. I think the bearing in the gearbox that holds the shaft to the tire on is no good. So I'm going to look into tearing the gearbox off because I've already opened it up here. And as you can see, that doesn't look very bad. And all those gears look practically brand new. They don't look worn at all. So I think a lot of my problem is there's a bearing or something on the inside there that's all messed up, because this wants to move, but once I try to move it here, it jams up on the tire. And I don't know if just dragging it, now that I've figured this out, will work, but I think once it's down on the ground, because that bearing may be no good, every time you try to drive it, it wedges up against there, so it doesn't work properly. But like I was saying, we found a rake. I think this is going to be a long project because I'm not going to get it ready in hay season by time, because I have too many other things going on. But what I am going to do is look into purchasing a sandblaster, get rid of all the old paint on here, and clean it up real nice, get it to where it's working proper, and then repaint it. But if this looks like something that's interesting and you want to watch this project unfold and see how it goes, stay tuned. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing a bunch of information digging on this rake. I found a decent amount of pictures and specs and diagrams on it through Google already. But I got to talk to my local farmers around here to see if any of them know a thing or two to come show me, or know a trick on how to bypass some problems that I may be having, like seized up parts. Also, I need to go talk to my local John Deere's and machine shops and see if some of these parts I can just go grab and replace with whatever we got. But we found a rake. It was sitting in some berry bushes, like it was buried. I had to poke and prod with this front end loader right here. I'd stick the forks in, and now on ground level, and then if I come across something or hit something, I'd lift up. And I did that for 2 weekends, digging through bushes, and then finally we found it with this tractor, the 2955. But yeah, we found it with that tractor. So brought it all the way up here to the shop, and me and my son started tearing into the gearbox and found out that everything looks fine. We were following a couple videos from guys working on other rakes, but most of the videos I've been finding on here are with New Holland rakes or a John Deere rake that's not this one. So if you've came across an 851 John Deere rake and you have it and you need to do some repairing to it, maybe follow along, because one of the things I saw that's done on the newer ones, and I think I'm going to see about changing this one out, is they have this set up with a U-joint here and a U-joint here, and it's running the shaft all there and whatnot. So I want to see if I can switch that out to being a U-joint instead of a slide sleeve. And then I also want to see if I can work out getting some hydraulics hooked on this thing so I don't have to hand crank and do all that stuff. Because it doesn't look like I can change the angle of this thing at all. The angle is stationary. So the only things I really need to do is get it to where this part here lifts up and down with a small piston, and this bar here moves back and forth with a small piston. Actually, both of these two move back and forth with a small piston to raise and lower it. And then I should be good to go. That's the hope. Like I said, I got to wait for my dad to show up today. He's out spot spraying with our Kubota and the hazelnuts. Not this one, obviously. But it's going to be a fun little project. I can't wait to get it going again. And then hopefully in the next video on this rake here, I'll be able to give you a little bit more of a backstory on it while I pick my dad's brain on how to fix it. But it was very exciting for me and the kid yesterday because I told him, hey, I think there's a rake back there, and if we can find it and it's not too hard to fix, that's a free rake. Most of the rakes I've been finding are a couple $1,000s. So poke your head around in the bushes. See if you can find one of these old guys. Because chances are it still works with a little bit of love. I found out I need 7 new teeth. All the teeth I can find easily at any tractor store. Most of these bearings, I will be getting them out of a place here in Salem, Oregon, called McGuire Bearing. That's where we get most of our bearings. So if I need any bearings replaced or anything like that, I'm not even going to bother going to John Deere. I'm just going to go straight to McGuire Bearing because they'll happen to have the bearings that I need a lot more likely than the John Deere store will, because this machine's so old. But also, most of these parts here look like I might be able to get my local machine shop to refabricate if I need to. But there doesn't look like there's a whole lot to fix on this other than figure out why the gearbox won't turn. Like, that's really all that's kind of broken, other than this being jammed up. But that's an easy fix. Just move this forward, and that will shove back further, and this will come forward more, and then you're good. So I'm excited, guys. I'm excited because I'm going to, like I said, we're going to sandblast this thing all off and get all this yucky corrosive paint off of here, hit it with some rust knot, and then hit it with a primer and then repaint it. And I think normally this thing is all green. I don't mind the all green look, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this entire framework and all this framework and the bars back there all green. And I think I'm going to work on just the rake itself, so the parts where the teeth are connected down here. And then I think I'll leave that green. Paint the PTO shaft yellow and paint this yellow. So it can so there different things of it will pop out a little more. I know that it's not the factory colors and correct, but I want to give it a little bit more pop. So I think I'm definitely going to paint the bars where the teeth are yellow. and paint some other things yellow to make other things stand out a little bit more. And then we'll be using this. So hopefully by next hay season, we'll have this thing up and going. And during the wintertime, I'll have some repair stuff and some working on it going. Because by then I'll probably have a camera I can set up stationary to do time lapse watch of me sandblasting this thing. Because after listening to my first video where I'm cleaning out the Massey Ferguson baler and all I hear is that air and hose in the background, I do apologize. That was horrendous. So I think I'm going to do time lapses on me repairing it and put some music in there just for your guys' ears. But thanks for hanging out. Like I said, I gotta go do some digging and figure out what's going on and what I can learn on this machine. And hopefully there'll be more content to come. Until then, I hope to catch you guys in the next one.